As scary as it may seem, your voice matters. Your needs matter. So it's time to start speaking and being authentically who you are. Hi, I'm Jess Coleman, spiritual teacher, counselor, and channel. Let's dive into boundaries. A developed sense of self ensures that we know how to use our voice and our needs and values are defined. When we're comfortable and secure, it's easy for us to speak our truth and be authentic. If we have learned to be who others expect because of childhood wounding or trauma, we conform to other people's needs and expectations. In my childhood, particularly between the ages of 5 and 12, I was conditioned to say yes. Fast forward to adulthood, and it's been an effort to say no and stay true to who I authentically am. It takes consistent effort checking in with yourself to see how you feel versus other people. And that's the part I think some people miss with boundaries and developing boundaries, is they don't go through the process of checking in. We get in that autopilot mode and we're just yes people. Everything's yes, yes, yes. Even if we didn't have traumatic, abusive childhoods, most of us had parents that taught us that other people come first. Don't be selfish. Don't think about self, think about them, do what you can for them. When you have been conditioned to not have boundaries, to be a yes person, it oftentimes can put you in fight or flight and take you out of your parasympathetic nervous system. It makes you feel literally like you're going to be attacked or that something is going to happen to you if you do not say yes, or you do not do what the other person needs of you. That in itself triggers a fear of abandonment and rejection. And oftentimes it's a falsehood that we're going to be abandoned or rejected. But again, it's that subconscious programming and it's that story that is going through our subconscious system saying you're going to be rejected, you're going to be abandoned. So we say yes, so we do things that we're uncomfortable with doing to avoid that fight or flight, that attack feeling that we just want to avoid. There are several examples of not having boundaries. You can have a minimal degree of no boundary setting or a large degree. Everybody's going to be different and everybody's going to struggle with the boundaries and setting boundaries in a different way. A key sign that you're struggling with boundaries is anger or resentment. A lot of people that have underlying trauma run this patterning without necessarily noticing it. Sit back and observe yourself as a neutral third party. How are you acting? How did it make you feel? If you notice that you're getting angry and resentful, it's most likely because you're being triggered because they are overstepping your boundaries, but you don't have the voice to say it. So instead of saying to them, excuse me, I'm not comfortable with that, or excuse me, I don't want to do that, you sit there and nod your head. Yeah, sure, I'm on board. And really inside, you're just getting more pissed off by the minute because you feel like they're taking advantage of you. This is oftentimes going into victim mode because we're not being responsible for our needs, our wants, our values. We're bypassing them and then we're projecting onto the person that is crossing the line. We're projecting onto them that they're doing something wrong when clearly we're just not enforcing our needs. We're not using our voice. So then it's their fault. And I've done this so much throughout my life. And I've changed it the last few years and really have to keep an eye on it because someone would ask me for something and I just become super flared up or pissy and not even understand why. It's because I wanted to say no. And because I couldn't, they're the bad guy. Truly, they're not the bad guy because they're going to do what they can get away with. And that's the other thing with boundaries. People don't understand that when you enforce your boundaries, you actually gain respect. When you're the yes person and you do everything everyone expects of you, even though it's not aligning with your internal dialogue, that breaks down to you losing respect, because that person is not going to respect a falsehood. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They run patterning because they expect to be abandoned or rejected, when really it's patterning creating those outcomes. So when you stand up for yourself, when you use your voice, there's a larger degree of gaining that respect and people not walking all over you. So now that you see little to no boundaries, what do you do about it? You need to reprogram your old identity, patterning, and beliefs. It's kind of like giving yourself a mental, emotional makeover. It may seem scary in the beginning, but the more and more you start using your voice, you start saying no, you start recognizing your needs and feelings versus theirs, it's going to get easier and easier. When we don't uphold our needs and boundaries, we technically are being a false self. You cannot sustain a false self throughout a relationship. Eventually that mask is going to fall off and your true face is going to come out. And it's not that you're some toxic, horrible person, but it's that you're not showing who you are, because if you did, your needs and values and voice would matter. So conforming to their needs, values, and voice, you are being inauthentic to a degree. Let me give you 3 simple techniques to start enforcing your boundaries. Step 1. Anytime someone asks something of you, stop and ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Do not just say yes. Do not just agree. Give yourself a moment to stop and check in. See how you feel. Do I want to say yes? Am I compromising my needs, values, or voice if I go along with this? Simple process, just stop and reflect. Step 2, remove yourself from the situation and see how you truly feel. If you're an empath or codependent and you're in someone else's energy field, their energy is going to influence yours. Therefore, you're going to think their emotions are your emotions, and you're going to start feeling how they feel. So take yourself away from the circumstance, tell them you need a few minutes, go sit down, put your feet flat on the floor, hands up and receiving, close your eyes and ask yourself, are these my emotions? Are they their emotions? Check in with yourself before reacting. Step 3, know yourself. If you do not have a formed identity, you lose yourself in other people. Make sure that you get to know who you are. What do you like? What do you not like? Next time someone asks you a question, don't say, I don't care. What do you want? You choose. Actually make a decision and state your preference. Even if you feel like you don't care, even if you feel like it's not a big deal, start practicing knowing who you are. Because the more you say what you need and the more that you state how you feel and what you want, the easier it's going to be for you to start being authentic to self. So next time someone asks your preference, say what you think and state it clearly. It may feel a little unsettling in the beginning to use your voice and set boundaries, but the more that you do it, it's going to become easier and easier. And the next thing you know, you're going to be setting boundaries like a pro. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification for future videos and content. See my upcoming classes in the link below.